playing for return on investment rather than winning.
Yeah, like why? I just don't understand why that team is not going for it. I mean, unless they're going to trade Bryant and Baez away, I don't. You've got enough pieces still. I mean, put a little bit around it and go. I mean,
the truth is with what they have. I'm a Cub fan, so I'm with Baez. We'll put that out there.
Sure.
But would anyone really be shocked if they won the division again? No. But
no.
It's a little less likely, and they're just not going very. Their pitching staff is Trevor Williams and
Kyle Hendricks. That's it, right?
Zach Davies.
There you go.
Actually, who I kind of like is Alec Mills.
Okay.
I'll always be sweet on him because I've been playing fantasy baseball for 20 some years, and last year when I rostered him, it was the first time I ever had a guy pitch a no hitter for my team.
Nice.
First time ever.
Nice.
Anyway, Tigers signed Jonathan Scope. Brewers signed Colton.
I like
Wong,
that move.
which I like Colton Wong.
I like Colton Wong to the Brewers because that's going to shift Keston Hiura over to first base, and that should up his fantasy value this year, giving him a little bit of extra position eligibility this season. Obviously not next year.
I think the best news with it is that Keston Hiura might be a first baseman, not just this year, but for the future. And I think it's better for him there. He's got a great bat. Pure hitter. He's a good pure hitter.
Yeah.
He's not such a horrible fielder that he has to be a DH, but he's not a good fielder by any stretch of imagination.
Yeah, but Colton Wong's like an outstanding fielder. So from the Brewers standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to sign him.
If you think about it, one, Craig Counsell likes to run, so Wong will probably run stolen bases. And
go ahead.
And if you remember the jump that Christian Yelich had as a left-handed hitter going to the Brewers Stadium, Wong is also a left-handed hitter. And so I'm not saying he's going to hit 30 home runs or whatever, but
I was just going to say the same thing. It was going to increase his power going to St. Louis.
A 15, 16 home run, 22 stolen base year is not out of the question.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing second base stuff, and he actually almost cracked my top 10 because of the move.
Now, because of the move strictly, like I say, he was going back to St. Louis. Would you have
the problem with St. Louis? I would have him lower just because St. Louis has jerked around with his playing time for a while.
They really have, dude. He's going to be a full-time starter in Milwaukee, as far as I know.
Yeah, full-time starter in Milwaukee. It's like the thing in San Diego. I don't like Profire. Like they have 3 second basemen. Mm-hmm. I don't really care for Profire, but they have the kid from Korea, and they have Cronenworth. All 3 of those guys playing second base. I decided when I was ranking out second baseman, I'm only going to rank one of them, and I'm going to rank Cronenworth at 19 overall because 340 at bats, maybe. You know what I mean? 400, just
his bat has so much upside though that it's just going to be interesting. Spring training is going to tell us a lot about that situation, I think.
Well, I was saying you can't. They're going to play. You don't re-sign Profire not to play, and the shortstop and third base are way too good, and Hosmer is paid too much. I mean, actually, when Profire played first base for the Rangers, he was like the best first baseman I ever saw play, fielding wise.
I mean, he should be. He was a freaking shortstop coming up.
But he did some things that are like, you just don't see from first baseman. But he only played for like 14 games. It's like, yeah, they should just stick there. Anyway, where am I at? Diamondbacks signed Joakim Soria, so he's probably in the closer mix there in Arizona.
I like that move.
A's traded Chris Davis along with Jonah Helm and Dane Acker to the Rangers for Elvis Andrus plus cash. We sort of mentioned that already.
Yeah, and they got like the A's got like $7 million out of that deal, or maybe even more cash. They got a bunch of cash in that deal, and I'll tell you what, dude, it's a sad state of affairs if you look at some of the smaller market teams in baseball right now with what Oakland's having to do and what Pittsburgh's having to do. And I honestly believe that they have to do this. I mean, I wouldn't think about it. They couldn't do it any other way. I mean, I've been a fan of the Oakland A's since I moved to the Bay Area in 2006. And just, they always sign a certain level of player and they retain some guys. But man, this year when they let Simeon go, I knew that was a major, major red flag for me.
It's a real tough situation to be like the redheaded stepchild in a city. It's like the Mets, the White Sox, the A's and the Angels. You're just fighting for a situation where you're always going to be the second choice for people.
See, I disagree. Oakland can draw fans. Their biggest problem is the stadium. It's a shithole. It is a fucking shithole.
The thing about it is like I don't understand why teams are playing in these. George Husband said that he has a dream that Pittsburgh's a team. I don't understand why people are playing in these relatively small markets when there are huge cities that don't have teams. Like, there's no team in San Antonio. There's no team in Jacksonville. There's no team in Columbus.
Yes, I get
There's
it.
no team in Indianapolis. It's like the answer to that, to me, is the thing that they're almost going to do to Tampa Bay, which is Tampa Bay has that thing where they said that they might play 20 games in Montreal or something.
That's such garbage.
I think that if a team like the Oakland A's, a team like Cincinnati Reds, they draw, a team that's in a small market would benefit so much for playing some of their games. Like, I think the Rays should play some of their games in Orlando. I think that the Cincinnati Reds should play some of their games in Columbus.
The Rays need to move out of Tampa, or they at least need to move out of St. Petersburg, should I say, because that screws them.
They're talking about rebuilding in the same,
which is retarded. Spot. Which is the dumbest thing ever. Do they not understand why people don't come to their games?
Yeah, they don't. They built that stadium literally 9 years before they had a shot at a baseball team trying to get the White Sox to move down there. And because they did that, they didn't get first choice of location. So they got a piece of land where they could get it. It's not a bad location if you're
in St. Pete.
St. Petersburg, which at the time when they built it was the third largest city in Florida, and now it's the fifth because other cities are getting bigger faster.
Well, one of my buddies explained to me who lived down there that the bridge is like a traffic nightmare, and it makes it almost impossible to want to go to games there.
Well, it's really the amount of time that it takes. It's like I live in Orlando, to be fair, and I can't remember what year it was. It was back when I lived here for the first time, so it must have been like 1996 when the Olympics went to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Or Orlando made a pitch for the Olympics, and they talk about the I-4 corridor, right? Because you're sitting there on a strip of highway, which has Orlando in the middle. If you drive 50 minutes to the north, you get to Daytona. If you drive 50 minutes to the south, you get to Tampa, and if you drive another 30 minutes, you get to the edge of St. Pete. On that, you have St. Petersburg has like 340,000 people live in it. Tampa has 520,000 people who live in it. Orlando has 440,000 people live in it. Daytona, the small one, is like 275,000 in the general area. But if you look at that entire strip, that's 1 million people.
So you could put a stadium in the middle and ideally serve them all.
And that was the idea behind the Olympics. I said, we'll do these sports in Tampa, these in Orlando, these in Daytona. And it was a great pitch. And it came down to the last one. Atlanta wound up getting it. But if they did the same thing in baseball, it's like the thing should be in the middle. The problem is that everybody in the middle hates the outsides in Florida, and everyone on the outsides hates the middle. In the middle, we're just jealous because they have the beach, and on the outside they hate us because we're sort of run by Disney, and that's everyone loves Disney except for people that live near them, So that's the story. Yeah, they should do that. But if they were to do a thing where they were to play. I don't see how it would happen. Like Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh's a small market team. What if they played 30 games in Indianapolis? That's where their AAA affiliate is.
My issue with that, Doug, is it's detrimental to the home fans.
No, it would be like their home fans would. No, the difference was they don't sell out their crowds. It would make every game more important to go to. So anybody that wanted to go to a game in Pittsburgh could go to that game, and then they would wind up getting a second market. And Indianapolis is literally. It's more than twice the size of Pittsburgh. It's like 2.4 times larger than Pittsburgh as far as people that are there. It's already a Pittsburgh city because the Pittsburgh's AAA affiliate's been playing there for years.
Sure.
I remember going there when I was a kid, driving through Indianapolis. I went to a Pittsburgh game back when Kent Culvey was pitching. I got one of those flat Pittsburgh hats.
That's awesome.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know where it is. It's so long ago, but and you would get a second baseball market. The people in Pittsburgh would still watch the 30 games that were on TV in Indianapolis, and the people in Indianapolis all of a sudden would watch the 50 games that are there. It would give them more money, give them a real chance to.
That's smart. That's a good idea.
Do it, and it's like you're dumb to not take that chance. Like, take the chance on Jack. I mean, the truth is, Jacksonville's north off that I-4 strip another 45 minutes, and Jacksonville is the largest city in Florida with 860,000 people. And they don't have a team,
That's crazy.
Well, but take advantage of it. Why not do that? Why are we married? And especially, why do we have cities that have two teams when the second team is always going to play second fiddle?
Yeah, I don't get that one either. But it makes sense in the Bay Area because the Giants sell out like freaking crazy every game, and
well,
Oakland.
You have a bridge there too, so like
there's a bridge in between it, and there's a side, there's an East Bay and a West Bay. Again, the same thing with Chicago. It's East Side, West Side. New York City, there's just so many freaking people that they can do it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, the thing about the Mets is, it's like they always have a thing like where they say like who are, you'll see like a Facebook map. It'll say like, what's your favorite team in this city, right? In your city, and they'll break it down by counties.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be no county in America that thinks the Jets or the Mets are their favorite team. 0 counties.
Sure, I get it, but it's one of those things. Like, for example, like New York City's so big, and I've done 2 games in New York in one day. It's an hour drive between the 2 stadiums. Same thing. You think about Baltimore and DC; they hold 2 markets that are 45 minutes apart. Yeah, Baltimore and DC are only 45 minutes away.
I grew up in Chicago, and it's like if you could get from one city to the other via L in 22 minutes.
Really? And see, same thing in Los Angeles. We've done a crosstown doubleheader. I've done cross bay doubleheaders.
Now, if you're driving it's an hour, but you could literally, it's 2 blocks to the L station.
The quickest you can get from
3 blocks to
from. I just know the quickest you can get from LA to LA is 45 minutes as well, and the quickest you can get from Oakland to San Francisco is roughly about 35 minutes, and that's if you take the subway or the BART, as they call it in the Bay.
Yeah, that's I mean, you can do it pretty easy. I mean, the deep dark secret. When I lived in Chicago, I never had a car. You know, I took the public transportation, and when I had a special date, I took a cab.
Nice.
That's what people do. And so,
look, I can't stay super late past 8 tonight. I do have to get back home at a reasonable time.
Okay.
So you want to jump into some rankings here?
I just say Nolan Arenado trade. You want to say anything about that?
God, I do want to talk about Arenado going to St. Louis. We talked about that 2 weeks ago too. We speculated about what his value would mean.
The more I look at it, it's like I don't like where he wound up. I think it cost him about 20 spots in the draft.
Yeah, so do a lot of people. A lot of people bumped him to about 60 ADP is what I'm hearing. People are
I was going to say in the 50s, but
yeah,
I look at what Busch Stadium has done to Paul Goldschmidt, who arguably was every bit as good as hitter.
Cody was awesome in his prime in Arizona with that ballpark. He was awesome.
And the other one is even though there was a year off, was Matt Holliday moving from Coors to that. He did play for you guys.
A decent couple years.
No, but there's a difference. There is
difference between hitting 330 and 300. It's like 290. I get it.
It's like Arenado in Coors Field is 39 home runs, 313 batting average, 130 RBIs, which is what Holliday was. He was 35 home runs, 117 RBIs, 310 batting average. He goes to St. Louis. The first year he's in St. Louis, he hits 301 with 22 home runs and 103 RBIs. That's a difference. The next year he pops up to 29 home runs, but that's the highest he ever got outside of Coors Field. And that was, it's like, yeah, I don't think
Arenado historically has had really, really extreme splits away from Coors. That's been one of the big knocks on him for years. And people look at his road splits and his versus his home splits, and they've been really bad. Like he's hitting like 280 on the road versus 340 at home some years. It's crazy. So
anyway, yeah, I think it's a good move for the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, it reminds me of them having Scott Rowland back on their team. Great fielder, pretty good hitter, and borderline Hall of Famer, and it'll be the same sort of thing.
Arenado's a lock, but it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, we saw Rendon move last year out to LA, and mind you, it was a shortened season, so we can't really put too much weight on what he did. But at this point, I'm taking Rendon probably before I'm taking Arenado, and Rendon's ADP is 44. So
I think he still qualifies. No, he doesn't. Segura's out of there. But yeah, no, I think I'm avoiding Arenado if it falls to me, and there's enough people later on, as I said, like Chris Bryant, Josh Donaldson.
But do you think we're going to start to see some kind of overcorrection for Arenado? I mean, like it's one of those things where I hold true to draft values.
No, based on what I hear, everybody who's arguing is arguing that we're overcorrecting it, and I don't think we should.
Interesting. You don't think we're correcting it enough?
I mean, I think we're close, but we're not quite there. I mean, like overcorrection would be like I think